Overconfidence. The confidence that takes hold of a person and causes them to take risks. We have Gilgamesh from Gilgamesh and Herman from Pushkin that displays this exact trait of overconfidence. These two individuals come from different positions in society. Gilgamesh is part god and is the leader of his society, while Herman is a foreigner but otherwise a regular individual. Now, I'd like to raise the question, how do social statuses matter to the inherent dangers of becoming overconfident? Or, in other words, how does Gilgamesh being a leader or Herman being a regular individual matter to becoming overconfident? Social statuses don't matter because everybody can become overconfident. In fact, Gilgamesh and Herman showcase the range of social statuses, with one being a leader and the other a member in society. They both end up being overconfident and paying for the consequences. This is important because Gilgamesh and Herman directly show how everybody in society are prone to the dangers of being overconfident. It's also necessary that we remain level-headed to avoid consequences. It's easy to see how their situation applies to modern society today, given their social statuses. And although Gilgamesh is part god, this is still relevant to us because even when he is part god, he cannot escape the consequences when he's different from mortals. So, from Gilgamesh's perspective, we can see from text on page 24 that Gilgamesh and Enkidu successfully slay the forest giant Humbaba. Their confidence grows and they end up defeating the Bull of Heaven on page 27 after Ishtar curses them for Gilgamesh belittling her. At this point, it seems Gilgamesh and Enkidu have made great feats and can take on the world. That is, until Enkidu is cursed to die because of their previous actions. On page 30, we can see Gilgamesh's grief for Enkidu deeply. We know it is easy to see that the structure of the text takes on a poetic form with noticeable repetition all over. This poetic form lets us know he is spilling out his feelings, and this repetition also shows this when he uses the word weep and mourn repeatedly with similar structure, such as weep for you and mourn for you. It is apparent how much Enkidu's death meant to Gilgamesh and goes to show what overconfidence leads to. Even when he was able to take on everything, Gilgamesh, the leader of his society and a demigod, couldn't prevent his best friend's death and ended up being part of the reason he died. Now, some may argue that it's only because Gilgamesh is a demigod and at the top of the social leader ladder that he feels overconfident and that nobody at the lower end of the ladder could be like this. This is where Pushkin comes in, or more specifically, Herman's case. Herman is a foreigner who prioritizes stability and the essentials of life. You could sum that up as money for him, more particularly to him. He is also a gambler at heart, as seen on page 2287. While he is focused on stability most of the time, he is shaken up by the story of a mysterious countess who overturned her debt, as seen on page 2287 to 2289. This shakes him up as seen on page 2293 and 2294, where his imagination and his desires overtake him to try and learn her secrets. Eventually, he does learn them, but we see that on page 2305 he gambles and loses it all. This is followed by a conclusion with a cold tone in short sentences. This cold tone is noticeable since there is a very brief mention of Hermann's state and how everyone else in the story is doing. The short sentences that pair up with this cold tone bring up an important message that once you fail, life will keep continuing with no remorse. Keep in mind, this only happened because Hermann became overconfident in his ability, even though he wanted stability and the essentials of life in the beginning. So, Gilgamesh, a powerful leader, succumbed to overconfidence, and Hermann, an average individual, had the same thing happen to him. They went from success to little or none, all because of their disastrous confidence. This again teaches us that no matter your social status in society, you are prone to the dangers of being overconfident.